based information on my YouTube channel. We are preparing it using different strategies from different approaches, mainly social focused brief therapy and acceptance commitment therapy, sports psychology approaches, and also we are researching the science behind psychology, helping you, my subscribers, to understand how your brain works and how you can use this information to make your life easier and to make use of this information and to better support yourself, your mental health. And today we will be discussing about executive stress, leadership, decision making, and how to succeed in stressful times. So this webinar might be useful for executives, professionals, entrepreneurs who lead and people lead, who has to make constant decisions under uncertainty, stress, who carry a lot of responsibilities for others and who are expected to project competence and to stay calm, even though they don't feel this way. And today we will be also discussing about what are some sources of stressors that might be impacting leaders and high achievers' mental states, and responsibility without full control, which means oftentimes there are a lot of factors that are in play that shape different situations that high achievers are experiencing. And we'll be also discussing about the factors of visibility that oftentimes high achievers are under constant stress because they are always being observed by other people and everyone expects them to be strong, and this can also cause a source of stress for them. And we will be also discussing what can be done to decrease these stress levels and to stay calm, resilient, and to succeed despite these challenges. And also they might be experiencing isolation because everyone expects high achievers to be strong. Sometimes they might feel isolated because of a lot of responsibilities, the need to work a lot, and sometimes they might feel themselves lonely during these challenging times. And also about decision fatigue, that oftentimes high achievers have to decide, make decisions, and there are a lot of consequences of choices they are making, and oftentimes it's difficult to make decisions because there are pros and cons of it, and also other people are involved, other people's well-being, and it has impact on other areas also of their lives. And we will be also mentioning about it and about imposter syndrome dynamics, particularly in first generation high achievers, that even though people are very successful and have achieved a lot of degrees, are successful in their careers, sometimes they might have imposter syndrome, which tells them they're not enough, that this is not enough, that they are a failure. And we will be also mentioning these challenges and proposing some strategies and questions they can ask themselves if they want to help themselves better. So when people think about stress, they often imagine having too much work, but executive stress is different. It comes from carrying significant responsibility while also operating in an environment that's full of uncertainty, visibility, and constant decision making. First of all, what I notice in leaders and high achievers is that oftentimes they got stuck on controlling everything because there are perfectionist features and they are trying to do their work perfectly because they are aware that this impacts a lot of other people's lives, their work, and therefore sometimes I notice that they are too much stuck on trying to control everything and forgetting about the fact that we cannot control all the variables, all the factors. And maybe you may be responsible for instance, revenue targets, team performance, customer satisfaction, strategic execution, but you don't directly control market conditions, competitor actions or economic changes and every employer's choices, and this creates a unique tension. You own the results, but you don't own all the variables. Therefore, when you remind yourself, this becomes a sense of freedom for you. It helps you to become aware that we cannot control everything, and this creates a sense of freedom. So even being aware that we cannot control everything, despite the factors outside of your control, what are you doing right now that is helping you to move things in the right direction? What are some times when you think that you are succeeding even uh, without knowing that you cannot control everything? And what are you doing specifically during times for this to happen? Which qualities are you using? Which environments are helping you? Which habits are helping you to create this success? And what difference does it make if you can stay calm, confident, or relax, or can feel well even during times when there is a lot of stress and there are a lot of factors that are impacting this situation, but you somehow stay calm and you are able to control the situation. Can you think of a time when successfully you led through uncertainty? What did you do that was effective? How did you achieve this? What strengths do you bring to the situation where outcomes were not always predictable? And what on your team helps you create positive momentum, increase your team's motivation? And what are they doing that's working during times when you can work well with your team? If these challenges were handled as effectively as possible, what would you notice about yourself doing more of? And what difference would it make for other people? And the second challenge that we have mentioned is that high achievers are experiencing is visibility, being observed constantly. The higher you rise, the more people start to watch you, to follow you, and your team maybe notices your mood, your decisions, your reactions during pressure moments, and your peers might be evaluating your competence, your influence, your leadership presence, and even though everyone is experiencing a lot of stress, and stress is common for everyone, oftentimes high achievers are even under more stress because they have even more responsibilities. And if everyone has the right to experience this stress or to complain, but oftentimes leaders have to stay strong, resilient, and to care about everyone, and this makes it even more challenging because everyone is following them. They are always a kind of role model. That's why it's more difficult for them um, to stay calm because there is a lot of much pressure. And senior leaders, for instance, and board assess your judgment, your results, and oftentimes also when things don't go as well, there are a lot of people who are criticizing or complaining, and this makes it even more challenging for the high achievers and leaders during times of stress. So many high achievers, they are always on stage. They always feel under pressure on the stage, and even small mistakes can feel amplified because they occur under observation and they are being constantly observed. So despite of these challenges, when have you felt most confident and authentic while being observed by others? And what were you doing during those moments that you would like to continue? What feedback have you received that suggests people trust your leadership? And how do you know when others are responding positively to your leadership presence? And if you were less concerned about being evaluated, what would you be doing differently? And isolation, loneliness of senior roles. Leadership often reduces the number of people with whom you can speak completely openly because as you rise, you don't want people to see that you are weak, and you may not want to share every concern with your team, and maybe you reveal uncertainty to stakeholders and burden family members with business pressures. Therefore, as responsibility increases, the circle of people who truly understand your challenges often becomes smaller, and therefore this creates a paradox. The more influence you gain, the fewer peers you have. And who are the people, for instance, that help you to feel understood even a little during challenging times? What are some resources that you can use during these stressful times? When have you felt less alone? How did you succeed this? What was happening during those times that made the connection possible? What was there about you that helped you to connect with people even when you were feeling isolated or lonely? And how have you successfully built meaningful professional relationships in the past? What small step could help strengthen your support network this week? So these are some questions, solution-focused questions you can ask yourself if you are experiencing these challenges. And about decision fatigue, high achievers and leaders are constantly have to take decisions, and there are a lot of pros and cons of it, and this can be really exhausting, constantly thinking about possible consequences, results, and executives may make decisions about hiring, strategy, budgets, priorities, conflict resolution, risk management, and individually many decisions seem small, but collectively they create cognitive exhaustion. I'm sorry, just a second, I'll try to fix the sound. And about the high achievers have to always decide about different topics, and they need to set priorities, they need to think about conflict resolution, risk management, and individually many decisions seem small, but when to think about them collectively, they create cognitive exhaustion because constantly thinking about consequences, about different factors, how this would impact the people can create a lot of stress and anxiety. And brain's resources for evaluating options, managing uncertainty, and predicting consequences become depleted. Which decisions are you handling particularly well right now? What are some times when, despite the despite these challenges, when you have to constantly make decisions, what helps you to stay calmer under pressure? And what helps you to make good decisions? And when have you experienced a productive and focused day? What was different during those times? Which decisions truly require your attention, and which have you successfully delegated before? Which routines or habits help preserve your mental energy? So oftentimes we forget about our resources that are already available for us, and asking yourself these questions can help you to realize about your resources and capabilities. And many successful leaders secretly wonder, do I really belong here? When will people discover I don't know everything? Am I as capable as others are thinking? And this is especially common among first generation professionals and people from underrepresented backgrounds and individuals who achieved rapid career advancement, because oftentimes people have been criticized in their childhoods, or there are a lot of difficulties that they need to navigate, relational, environmental challenges, and this might be creating self-doubt and there might be some learned patterns of self-criticism that were rooted in their childhood, and in many cases greater success creates larger expectations and larger stress levels, which can intensify feelings of inadequacy. And this executive may appear confident externally while internally questioning whether they have truly earned their positions. So what can be done during these challenges? You can ask yourself, what evidence tells you that you have earned your position? What accomplishments are you most proud of that helped you to get there? And who has recognized strengths in you that sometimes overlook? And when have you felt fully capable and effective in your role? And if you trusted your abilities just a little more, what would you notice yourself doing differently? What personal qualities helped you overcome challenges throughout your career? And executive stress is not simply about workload, it's also about it comes from combination of high responsibility, limited control, constant visibility, social isolation, and continuous decision making, internal pressure to prove oneself. And these factors create a form of stress that is often invisible to others but deeply impacted on performance, well-being, and leadership effectiveness. So rather than focusing exclusively on reducing stress, leaders can start asking, what is helping me succeed despite these pressures? What strengths have carried me this far? How did I manage to succeed? And when are these challenges less intense, and what is different during those moments? And what would progress look like over the next few weeks? What is one meaningful step I can take toward the leader I want to be? And around 50% of all executives and high achievers report high levels of anxiety, and senior leaders report significantly higher rates of anxiety and depression than their reported rates because many hide it. So what does it tell? What the statistics tells that people who care more about their work are more successful, and people who can be more sensitive towards responsibilities. And this shows that they really care about their work, about other people. That's why they might be experiencing more challenges and having more depressive symptoms or anxiety symptoms. And on the other hand, this also tells that experiencing anxiety symptoms or depression is not a barrier, because we can learn new strategies on how to cope with these challenges, and this is not something that would stop us from succeeding. And for many executives and high achievers, personal professional performance can be linked to personal identity, and they might be fused with it and not even being aware of it. For instance, at times when they cannot perform well, they can link it to their identity, such as I'm a failure, I'm weak, or I'm someone who is lazy. And besides being a leader, what other identities matter deeply to you? So during these times, noticing that these are just thoughts or feelings about your identity, and you are not a failure, that you are not you like you have different senses of self and versions of yourself, and you cannot for instance, we are also parents, and we are colleagues, we have our professional identities. Sometimes we are students, sometimes we are grandparents, and we have different versions of ourselves and senses of self. And but oftentimes when we feel extreme anxiety or depressed, we are oftentimes are stuck just on one version of ourselves. So asking ourselves what matters for us apart from our career, or how we would like to respond even during times when we cannot be perfect or we are making mistakes. What are some reasons that help you to keep going even during challenging times? These are some questions that would help you to expand your sense of self and help you to diffuse these thoughts or feelings that are not serving you, and to create different relationship with these automatic thoughts. For instance, what parts of yourself have been overshadowed by your professional identity? What would people who love you say might matter about you the most? What are you proud of yourself? What are some qualities that you would like to see more often? Who are you when no one is evaluating your performance? And maybe you notice your thoughts that your worth depends on your performance as a thought rather than a fact. And if that thought was simply sentence your mind produces, how would you relate to it differently? What becomes possible when you hold that thought more lightly? And have there been successful people you admire whose values extended beyond their achievements? What made them valuable for you, in your opinion? Uh, what are some people whom you admire, and which qualities do you admire? Which of them would you like to see in yourself more often? And what are some times when you have already seen these qualities in your life? So, as I said, noticing thoughts that you are having about your performance or about your identity, and being able to notice these stories or thoughts about yourself, and creating space between these stories themselves, and thinking about what you would like to see more often, which qualities you would like to see more often in the face of challenges. Where, for instance, when you will experience decision fatigue or stress or anxiety or a lot of different challenges, how you would like to respond to them, which qualities you would like to see more often, which version of you would like to see more often, and noticing those points of stuckness and acting from your values or whatever is important for you at that moment, and taking the smallest step, even in the presence of anxiety or uncomfortable feelings or suffering, is the first step towards the change and towards healing. And also noticing your resources, your capabilities, for instance, asking yourself, when you have led particularly well under significant pressure, what were you doing differently? What's already working in you? How you manage stress, and what would you do more of if you could? If your leadership anxiety reduced by 30%, for instance, what would be the first sign that you are experiencing less anxiety, and what you would like to experience more? Which decisions would you make differently? What would let you know that you are making decisions better? And decision making under stress can be quite challenging because of cortisol levels, and when people are stressed, it's more difficult to focus, to concentrate, and at high stress levels, prefrontal cortex function degrades and decision quality fails, and risk assessment distorts, short-term thinking dominates, and that's why sometimes when there is a lot of stress in your life, it can be difficult to make decisions. And it doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't say that you are lazy or you are incapable or there is something wrong with you. It's just how your brain works. That whenever there is a lot of stress, it's difficult to make decisions for everyone. So noticing those moments and searching ways to calm down, and noticing what's helping you to calm down, to feel more safe, to feel better, and using those strategies for yourself to calm yourself down can become some strategies to make decisions better. And each decision also depletes cognitive resources. Each time when you are trying to decide what to wear, where to go, where to study, which assignments to do, you are slowly depleting your cognitive resources. Therefore, noticing times when you are functioning better and you can make better decisions, you can think better, easier. You can use those times for tasks that are requiring a lot of efforts and cognitive efforts. For instance, if you think that you can better decide, or you can better function in the morning, you can plan your more cognitive efforts in the morning. Or if you think that you can better understand and plan in the evenings, you can use those moments to help you to cope with stress and to focus on your work. And also there are some strategies to decrease decision fatigue. For instance, planning your day, planning whatever you want to complete tasks, are some strategies that can help you to decrease decision fatigue and cognitive overload. According to Annie Duke's this research, distinguishing good decisions from good outcomes is important. Under stress, executives can conflict outcome quality with decision quality, and if there are problems that are arising after making a decision, oftentimes people are blaming themselves that they made the wrong decision and there was something wrong with them. However, it doesn't say that it necessarily has to be this way, because there are a lot of factors that we cannot control, and maybe this outcome is not related with you at all. And also reminding yourself about your why. What kind of leader do you want to be, even in the presence of anxiety, stress, regardless of outcomes, regardless what others think, and connecting decisions and actions to the anchor, to the reasons why you are doing this task, and diffusing from approval seeking on some strategies that can help you to feel more relaxed and less stressed, and also thinking about exceptional moments when you succeeded well during this stress. For instance, when did you lead well under significant pressure recently? What were you doing? How you were approaching the situation? What did you notice about yourself? What helped you to achieve this success? And how can you deliberately bring this approach to today? And what would you notice if you already started to lead well, or to stay calm, to do well even in the presence of anxiety or stress or pressure? And decision batching, scheduling consequential decisions during the peak cognitive window, typically morning, and protecting this window from meetings and emails. Also, instead of multitasking, trying to focus just on one task is another strategy to decrease decision fatigue and to help yourself to go through the day. And also, switching to different tasks, multitasking, are found to be exhausting you and making you more tired. And uncertainty acceptance statement. Oftentimes we feel anxious or depressed or stressed when we think that we are not sure about the results, and there is a lot of uncertainty. However, uncertainty is everywhere. We just think that we know everything. However, anything can happen at any time. And when we look from this perspective, actually, there are a lot of things that we cannot control, but we are not just aware of it. And if we are able to change our relationship with uncertainty and to see it from different perspective, that this is an opportunity for us to create, to care, to connect, to contribute. And instead of using our time on worrying or stressing or feeling anxious, we can also choose to use this time to create, to contribute, to grow, to help others, to support others, or to develop our own skills. So noticing your thoughts about uncertainty and changing your relationship with uncertainty is another strategy you can use to feel better. And today we were discussing about different strategies that high achievers can use to help themselves to stay calm, confident, and to perform well even during stress, pressure, and to help them to identify and to understand who they want to be even in the presence of stress or in the presence of uncertainty, which questions they can ask themselves and which strategies they can use if they want to stay resilient, calm, confident, or strong in the presence of uncertainty and pressure. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave your questions in the comments. Thank you for coming, thank you for your time, and take good care of yourself. See you in the next videos again. Bye.